What worked well was we had generally like positive reception about the idea. A lot of people said they would use it, and people were surprised that it didn't already exist on ski websites. And then what we could do better, our idea is kind of like in too early of a stage to make true sales. So right now we're like finishing out the landing page and making like mock-ups to really demonstrate our idea to people. So I think if we just move along with like product development, we'll be able to give people a better idea of what we're selling and to actually make those sales. That's it.
So I'm Max, Peter's out sick, so Skillforge. So for our target market, we had kind of trouble defining this in like a narrower way, but we just said young gamers looking to improve their skills and just hope that hit all of our bases. So important features is just kind of like the one-line description of what we do, which is just game features motivating you to keep track of your habits and building your skills. So our prospects were CU students, friends, and coworkers of mine. So we did a list of them and interviewed them. Reflections on our interviews. So a lot of the prospects that we talked to were interested in the idea. A lot of them were skeptical if it was actually effective, because a lot of them were kind of burned out on some of the apps that they had used before. And they felt like a lot of these apps, would send you a lot of notifications, would be kind of like a nagging application that you would just delete because it wasn't providing you a lot of value. However, we also, interestingly enough, a lot of people mentioned other apps that they felt were really good at motivating them. So Duolingo and apparently like a couch to 5K program called Zombies Run was mentioned. And I think those are actually good examples of how you can actually keep people engaged. So we might look at that in the future. Yeah.
Hey everybody, my name's Dan and this is Connor. We're formerly known as Better, but over the break we decided that we also are going to pivot, and our new idea is Buff Bars, and we're going to be planning on going to bars and creating a Flatiron meal plan type thing where people can go to bars and then bars can offer promotions free drinks based on their QR codes at specific times.
So our target customers are kind of the college students. They'd have to kind of buy in the way that college students buy in the Flatiron meal plan, and then the bars themselves would have to agree to the promotions and then the QR code scanning, which would increase like the efficiency of buying drinks and whatnot at the bars.
Another thing that we found out from our immediate network is that college students have a tough time managing their budget for alcohol. And so when I told them that it existed, they were pretty excited, even, but I was pretty much toying with my roommates, and they're really excited, and we got a big reaction from our immediate network.
Yeah, so the top features just kind of outlined were the promotions and discounts, the budgeting, so college students could say, I only want to spend like $300 at the bars this semester, or whatever you want your budget to be. And then you could increase the business for the bars as well.
The list of prospects that we're looking at is mostly everyone on Pearl Street, including the Walrus, the Downer, the Attic, Beer Garden, Press Play, the Pub, License Number 1, and No Name Bar.
We sent out emails yesterday, so we have not heard back yet since we just pivoted and chose our new direction, but we're really excited to hear back and start working with these people.
We're also wondering if we should get a meeting with Flatiron Meal Plan, but we didn't want to really tell them our concept because it would be kind of like a direct competitor situation, and we're wondering what you guys thought about that.
Does Flatiron Meal Plan have like a over 21 for alcohol?
No.
What's that?
Are you trying to like get parents to pay for it?
No, so it'd be like, that'd be sick. No, it'd be student run, but the model would be very similar. The way, the difference would be the students pump the money into it, and then they have have their card or their QR code on their phone that they could use at the bars to scan and whatnot. So the main difference between Flatiron Meal Plan and this is the students are putting the money in, and it's for bars instead of food.
Yeah, I don't think you guys would have to worry that much, because like I don't think they're really a direct competitor, because like you said, like parents often pay for it. So like they would have to release like a whole like different service, but like probably wouldn't even be called Flatiron.
Okay.
Should find a way to get that Flatirons to transfer into your app. Like Flatiron code? Oh, that would be your app.
I was saying you could talk to them, and like you don't have to reveal your idea. You could just kind of learn how they sort of got into it.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to figure out, but we didn't know how to like say why we're talking to them.
Just say you're in a class and you're researching it, and usually people are like, oh, that's cool, I love helping students.
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Evan. John is sick from X Games, so it's just me today. Our target customers for our app, Fair Play, is just musicians, DJs, producers, and just music listeners like you and I. Features that we were trying to implement and features that we told our customers that we would do would be like a monetary compensation without the need of representation. An application that allows like fans to directly support their favorite artists, and just a new collaborative environment that brings together artists and their fans. Prospects would be music creators, and I had a chance to talk to Mountain Man, which they're local and they're pretty popular now, and they're my friends. And they got me in touch with Slander and Dr. Fresh, who are, have millions of listeners on SoundCloud and Spotify and all that, because they played with them. And then also I got to talk to friends and family who listen to music. And those ended up pretty well. Reflection would be, everyone seemed somewhat interested in like a new music application, but a lot of people were skeptical to see if like it could actually compete with SoundCloud or Spotify or Apple Music, because those are just, they have the biggest portion of the market. And what I realized is that we need to focus on what differentiates us from the likes of SoundCloud or Spotify, because that's really what would make them switch to our product. And we'd also need to tell consumers, and primarily like the creators, like what we are doing to help gain traction, because they're going to want the most people listening to their music to get big, and that's what we need to do looking forward.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Well, I hope that was an instructive exercise. The reason that we did this customers exercise is because some of the feedback from previous years was that they wanted to sell their ideas sooner, as opposed to waiting until May, and you've got this nice product, and you never really actually went in front of customers to try to sell your idea. So we thought it would be good to sort of this is a little bit different from the empathy interviews, where you're just sort of talking with people and trying to understand the problems. Here you're taking that extra step to try to sell your idea, and as Rachel said, it's hard to make that last sort of call to action. Are they willing to give you their credit card numbers? That kind of thing. That's a tough final sort of hoop. And so many of you are not there yet because you're pivoting. That's okay. But our hope is that this is one of the big unknowns that you're going to have to sort of solve this semester. Is anyone willing to sort of give you their credit card number? That's tough. That's a really tough one. Also, as I was noticing here, I just want you to distinguish between users and customers. Customers are the ones who are actually going to pay you money. Users might be people who use your app, but then customers would be the people who would advertise on your app. So this distinction that is useful to know. Okay, so Some other feedback is that sort of the 0th order bit, or the most significant bit, I guess, is Zach and I want you to be excited about your projects. The difference of this capstone from the other capstone is that you get to define what you want to do. And hopefully that makes you more engaged and sort of interested in and psyched about your projects. So I like to see the pivoting. The pivoting is healthy, and we want to see that. Try to get into something that you're excited to do. So that would be, so that then if you're excited, hopefully you'll be much more engaged with your project in that sense. So last semester was all about sort of solving your biggest unknown was, does anybody care? Okay, and that's what the empathy interviews are. That's what trying to get some traction, number of hits on your website, number of signups, that kind of thing. This semester, the world opens up a lot more. There are many more unknowns. If you solve that, like, okay, some people care, that makes enough motivation why I can build my MVP, but and try to build it out. But now there are a lot of other risks that you have to, if you go back to your lead canvas, you're going to have to take a look at. That's all about sort of figuring out, prioritizing what are your biggest risks and de-risking those. Okay, and that's what this semester is about. It's different, it's more complicated. There are a lot of risks. Will anyone pay money for what you have? Can your team build the product expeditiously? How are you going to reach out to your customers or your users and market to them? How are you going to keep the costs down? Just a lot of things that can trip you up. And so as we sort of move forward you have to prioritize those risks in your sort of ops reviews and work on de-risking the biggest ones. And then the final thing is, I guess, signing up for the feedback session. The first batch starts on Thursday. Okay, so these will be 10-minute sessions in my office, Fleming, and so feel free to sign up. If you can't make this one, these are going to be like every 1 to 2 weeks, and so the way we sort of envision it is that like about 8 people, 8 groups will be able to fit in next class period, and then the next session will be the rest of the groups. That will be about a week after that, and then we'll have like maybe 6 of these feedback sessions currently on the syllabus spread throughout the semester. So this will give you a chance. I think we sort of incorporated your feedback from the first day of class, and that was about having one-on-one kind of feedback, and so we're going to try to incorporate that into this semester. Okay. Any feedback from our gears?
Nasha had to leave, unfortunately, but I was thinking about a brand. I think that's also, it's very helpful, even if you're changing it and you're coming up with a different logo, it's very useful to kind of define yourself and position yourself early on, even if that does change. It just helps to unify the team and keep you on course, so that's good to see. I like to see that a lot of you are speaking to potential customers and your target demographic. I think that's incredibly important. You can have a great idea, but unless you know that there's actually a market for it, it's pretty pointless at the end of the day, to be honest. So I would encourage you to carry on doing that, speaking to potential customers, not just about whether the idea has legs and whether they would use it, but also would they pay for it. I think, like Rick said, it's not just about having users, it's about having people that give you their credit card numbers, and there's a huge crevice that you need to jump over in order to get people to give you their credit card numbers. And more importantly, how much would they actually pay for it? So if your product or service is $1, probably a lot of people would be prepared to pay for it as long as there's a market for it. But that said, is that enough to have a sustainable business? And how much do you need to get from your customers in order to have a sustainable business? So I know it's jumping the gun a little bit, but start thinking about that. Unless your business model is maybe an acquisition-based business model or ad-funded business model, that's a bit different, but you've got other problems and challenges there. But if it is something you want people to pay for, start thinking about how much they would pay for. So when you're doing your market research, also start getting numbers from your customers. And then I also like to see a lot of you pivoting too, because as I mentioned, that's something our business after 4 years is doing. And as they say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's good to see that you guys aren't too precious about your ideas, because that's another problem that a lot of entrepreneurs make, especially in the new entrepreneurs, is that they get very emotionally attached to their businesses and their ideas of it. Even if everyone's telling them it's a bad idea and that there's no way they're going to make money, they become too attached to them. So the fact that you all pivoting, you recognizing that there's possibly better adaptions of the idea, or through your conversations with potential targets and customers, you find that there's a totally new direction and a better idea, that is incredibly healthy. So that's also something I've observed and I've been impressed with. So keep up the good work.
Okay, I think that's the first batch of